Hey guys, and welcome to Friday's edition of Vinyl Grooves. Today what we're going to do is we're going to count down my top 10 most wanted vinyl albums, my holy grails. Stick around and find out which ones those are. Hey guys, welcome back. So today what we're going to do is we're going to count down my top 10 most wanted vinyl albums, or my holy grails. Now obviously I don't have these albums on hand. They're not in my collection back here or in the other room where I have more records. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the picture either up here of the album cover or over here on the album cover so you can see what it looks like. Now these albums constantly change for me over time. My wants and desires change based on which ones I find. But right now, these are the ones that are most important to me to find. And when I say they're my top 10 and they're hard for me to find, or my holy grails, it's because I'm constantly looking for them out in the wild rather than just order them off the internet and having them come in. And some of these are quite cost prohibitive too, meaning I don't have the money to buy them. I would love to have the money to buy them, and if somebody wants to donate, that's perfectly fine. I'll take all the donations you want to give me. But I probably am only going to buy a repressing because of the cost, unless for some reason I get rich one day. We'll see what happens. But we'll start with number 10. Number 10 on my list is Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. It's a 1991 album. It was only printed in 1991 on vinyl and hasn't been repressed since. It's selling for about $100 to $250 on Discogs if you go look at it. Not a bad price at $100, but I would really like to see it come down a little bit. I'd pay $60 for it. But there's some really good songs on it. You have Pound Cake, Right Now, and Top of the World. And it's, I know it's Van Hagar. I have the other Van Halen albums with David Lee Roth. I don't have all the Sammy Hagar albums. Boy, tongue twister there. So I'm trying to fill those in. That's why I say they're my holy grails, because I want to put them in with my collection of Van Halen. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I don't like David Lee Roth, or, oh, I don't like Sammy Hagar. And I sit in between because I like them both. David Lee Roth, to me, is more of a performer. He's got a good voice. Don't get me wrong. I like him a lot. I love him. I mean, I started my Van Halen with David Lee Roth. But I learned to love Sammy Hagar really quickly because he's got a phenomenal voice. And at 72, even today, he's got the same voice. I don't know. The man is drinking from the fountain of youth. I hope when I'm 72 and his age, I look and sound as good as he does. It must be the tequila down at Cabo Wabo. I don't know. All right, my number 9 album, also out of print, also only printed in 1995, is Van Halen again, Balance. This is the last Sammy Hagar album, or last Van Halen album with Sammy Hagar as a vocalist. And it sells for quite a lot. It's selling for between $300 and $600 on Discogs. So, that's a little on my price range for a single album. Top songs on there, Can't Stop Loving You, Aftershock, and Not Enough. This album is not the best album. I want it just because I want to have the Van Halen collection together. But as far as a great Van Hagar album, the chemistry just isn't there. And you can tell, Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen and, the other Van Halen brothers, they are tiring of one another and they want to move on. You can tell through the chemistry that's going on the album. I mean, there's a few good songs, don't get me wrong, but the chemistry on the last few albums is not there on Balance. So, it's disappointing. It's a good album. It's not great Van Halen, but it's decent. And I'd like to have it just to fill in my collection. And, it's the last Van Hagar album. And like I said, it has not been reprinted or repressed here since 1995 when it originally came out. So it makes it really hard to find. All right, my number 8 album would be Duran Duran, the Wedding album, which actually came out in 1993. It was released in Europe only. It wasn't released in the United States on vinyl. Now, you could get it on CD, but it wasn't released on vinyl in the United States. So, makes it difficult to find, especially since it's from Europe. Of course, I could, like I said, buy it off the internet. But prices for that album are going between $300 and up. That's a lot of money to pay for Duran Duran. I like Duran Duran. I have all their earlier stuff. But me plopping down $300 for a single album, it's not going to happen. I would love to be able to find this at a thrift store somewhere, but it makes it very difficult when it's only been released in Europe. So, like I said, it's one of my holy grails. Maybe someday when I become independently wealthy, I'll go out and buy it. But until then, it's going to remain on my holy grail list until I happen to find it at that fantasy thrift store that we all look for vinyl. But there's some really good songs on it. You know, you got Ordinary World, you got Come On Done, and one that a lot of people aren't aware of is Drowning Man, which I actually like that song. It's a pretty good song. Number 7 would be, and I don't usually have 45s, and I don't usually collect 10 inches, just because, you know, I don't know. I just don't. I'll listen to them. I like them, but this is actually a 45 that I want, or a 7-inch, and it's Adele Skyfall, and it's her single that she put out, and it's the only vinyl copy of Skyfall that you can get. Skyfall is not on any other album that I'm aware of, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. You can put it in the comments and let me know I'm wrong, and I'll look for it. Trust me. But yeah, that. I like Adele. I love Adele. She's got a phenomenal voice, and I would love to have the Skyfall 7-inch. Right now, it sells on Discogs for between $50 and $100. It's kind of pricey for a 45, but I keep looking everywhere I go. You know, you see these big bins of 45s, and I flip through them all the time looking for Skyfall. I know there's other great 45s out there, but that's really one of the only 45s that I really would love to have. I'm sure later on, maybe in my life, I'll change my mind and start collecting 45s, but we'll see. You know, I've been mostly not stuck with, that's a poor choice of words. Mostly enjoy collecting, you know, your LPs, even EPs. I'm not too big into 12-inch singles, but I have a couple. I like to have the complete album. But, you know, Adele's a whole different matter. I'll take Adele on a 7-inch any day of the week. And like I said, it's the only version of Skyfall on vinyl that I'm aware of. And if I'm wrong, like I said, let me know. Number 6, my number 6 album, The Killers, Hot Fuss. It's 2004. Its first U.S. release is on Translucent Blue, which is I've seen pictures of it, very pretty album. I would love to have this album, you know, especially on Translucent Blue. You have Mr. Brightside, Somebody Told Me, Smile Like You Mean It. These are great songs on this album, and it really defined the Killers when they first came out. This album's selling on Discogs for starting around $100 and going up from there. I still look for it every time I go into a vinyl store or a thrift store or wherever, and I still look for this album, and I will continue to look for this album. I get such joy finding albums that are on my most wanted list or my holy grail list. I get so excited when I find them out in the wild at a vinyl shop or a thrift shop or whatever else. It's like almost a sense of accomplishment. Ordering them offline is great, but you know, just being able to find, oh my goodness, I can't believe I found this. Having that feeling is pretty amazing. So that's why I always look for these albums that on my list. Okay, number 5. My number 5 album is a newer album. Came out in 2017. It's In This Moment, and it's Ritual. And a friend of mine turned me on to this a few weeks back. I was really surprised. I'd never heard of In This Moment, which I don't know why I had never heard of them, but I'd never heard of them, and he introduced me to them, and I just fell in love with this album. I mean, it's just an incredible album. You know, top songs on the album, the whole thing is great. If I had to pick some songs to say that these are the best songs, Black Wedding, actually, Billy Idol had a hand in writing Black Wedding for In This Moment, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that until I started reading more and more about it, because it had a familiar sound to it, like White Wedding, Black Wedding. Also, they do a cover of In the Air Tonight, the Phil Collins song. And it's really, really good. It's a haunting song. And I mean, boy, if they ever relaunched Miami Vice, boy, I'd put that song on there in a heartbeat, because it's just an impressive cover of a great Phil Collins song and a great moment in Miami Vice history. The album, believe it or not, it was put out on gold vinyl, and it sells for between, like, I believe almost $200 and up is what I've seen it for. I haven't seen it out in a while. Of course, I haven't really had an opportunity to get out and look for it. Like I said, it's only been a couple weeks, and a friend introduced me to it a couple weeks ago. So we've all been on quarantine, and the vinyl stores have been closed, so are the thrift stores, so I haven't been able to get out and look for that one. I've seen it online. I've contemplated, boy, I'd really like to order that. But I really don't like paying, over $60-$70 for an album. I mean, my hands start sweating. Now, if you watch my last video, I had the Ozzy box set, and you can see the Chris Cornell, but those are box sets where you get, Ozzy was, 17 albums, and the Chris Cornell has every Chris Cornell song done. I mean, I have other box sets back here. Box sets are completely different. I don't mind paying a lot more for box sets because of what you get in them. But for vinyl, $60, that's a lot of money for an album, at least in my opinion. And what can I say? I have meager income. And I'm sure I'm not the only one out there that has a meager income. All right, well, let's go to number 4. My number 4 album would be Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love, 1981. And not just any Too Fast for Love Motley Crue album. This is the Leather Records pressing of it, which would be the first, or actually it's a second repressing of it, but that would be the one I would love to have, is the Leather Records copy. It sells for, get this, $400 and up. Of course, that's according to Discogs, and if you're not familiar with Discogs, you can go to discogs.com, and you will be able to take a look at albums, and they have a marketplace where you can buy albums from there. But $400 for an album. Boy, it'd be really nice to have, though. I really would love to have the Motley Crue Leather Records Too Fast for Love, but I can think of a lot of things I can spend $400 on, like upgrade my turntable. I could put that towards that, but I would really love that. That'd be my 4th most wanted Holy Grail album. If I ever found that out in the wild, I don't know. I'd probably do a backflip in the middle of the store and probably end up in traction for the rest of my life, but it'd be worth it. Number 3 would be Maroon 5, Red Pill Blues. Came out in 2018. I realize it's a newer album. I realize I could pull out, a ton of Beach Boys albums and Beatles and all this other stuff. But right now, this is where my mind is on albums. And I really would love to have this. It's a limited edition. It's translucent blue. And it has 2 albums set. On the second album, which would be the D side, is the etching. It says Red Pill Blues. Pretty cool. It's selling for about $225 and up. Probably not going to be able to get that one, but I would love to have that one. I have a lot of Maroon 5. I like Maroon 5. A lot of people give them a hard time after their first album came out. They figured, they're going to be, this amazing, alternative band, and they've turned into more of a pop sensation. But either way, I still like their music. I still love Adam Levine. He seems like a really down to earth guy. Really supports musicians, and I support him. So, and I support his band because he sticks by them, and you gotta love that. And songs on the album: "What Lovers Do," "Girls Like You," "Don't Want to Know," and "Cold." I mean, there's so many good songs on the Red Pills Blues album, but those are the ones that I can put out there. My number two most wanted would be the Sex Pistols. Never mind the Bullocks, here are the Sex Pistols. I would love to have the 1977 Virgin Records copy. If you look at the album, they have a number on it. It would be the V2086 copy, which is actually the first pressing. They had 3 different plates they did, which basically means they had 3 different versions of this same album. But this is what I would love to have, is the V2086 Virgin Records pressing from 1977. It had 11 tracks. The back of the album is a blank pink cover. 11 tracks, like I said. Great songs on there. I mean, just about any song on this album. It's classic punk. I mean, it's when you think of punk, you think of the Sex Pistols, and my goodness, this album has it all. Just throw out a couple: "Holiday in the Sun," "God Save the Queen," "Anarchy in the UK," "Problems." I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, just about every one of the tracks is something that, if you've ever listened to punk, you've listened to somebody cover it, or you've heard it somewhere. Just a really great album. All right, now it sells for $200 and up. And that's why I don't have it right now. Maybe someday I'll be lucky enough to come across or find somebody willing to trade for it. I would really love to have that one. That's my number 2. Now for my number 1. My number 1 top pick and grail, and a lot of people are you're gonna be amazed by what I come up with here. But it is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I know I could have picked all kinds of amazing things, but I'm going to tell you what. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty soundtrack, which is done by various artists, it's good. I mean, it has such quality to it. I mean, if you asked me what my favorite song was on it, I would say they all fit together perfectly on that album. And it's just an amazing compilation of musicians and songs. You have Jose Gonzalez of Monsters and Men, Jack Johnson, David Bowie. I mean, and they put them all together on this album, and they just fit perfectly. And the sound quality is just it's amazing. I'm never going to be able to afford it. It was only pressed in limited quantities. I couldn't say that. It was only pressed in limited quantities. Whew. And only released back in, 2013, I believe, maybe 2013 when the movie came out. Get this. It sells for between $450 to $600 on Discogs. I've never seen it anywhere else. I know there's at least 2 people selling it on Discogs because I constantly look. But $450 to $650. Wow. I guess I'm just going to have to stick to creating that playlist on Spotify with all the songs that are on the album and listen to it over and over again. But yes, that's my number 1 most wanted vinyl album at this time. And boy, I don't even know what I would do if I saw that out in the wild, or if I managed to make a trade for that somehow. But yeah, that would be a really cool album to have. All right, so that's it for today. It's Friday. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Please give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And I'll be back at it on Wednesday. So, in the meantime, I'll catch you all listening to music.